Chapter 6. Hollywood. Stephen and I settled into the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, and I immediately dressed to see Danny. I knew he was home because Stephen phoned a friend to confirm his whereabouts. If you are a celebrity and live in LA, it is difficult to hide. Danny had become a star, and the media was on his trail. He couldn't go anywhere without the paparazzi or a desperate fan trying to track him down. I had become a desperate fan, running after a man I once commanded with abusive power. I wore a yellow Versace dress to elicit the warmth I was seeking from Danny. The dress was just above my knees, displaying my firm legs and firm thighs. I bought the dress to create intrigue, and because it was sensuous and revealing. The top cut low to show the breasts Danny once held to high esteem. The breasts that he caressed with his face and soothed with his lips were on display for his eyes. His gentle eyes that caused my heart to skip a beat and made me understand that I'm alive and loved. I rented a small Mercedes convertible to travel to Danny's home. I didn't know he had purchased a home until I looked at the entry keys he tossed at me and fell at my feet when last I saw him. The keys had his picture and his address on Bluebird Lane in the hills. I rode with the top down, looking at the sky and thinking about how happy and free I felt at that moment. I listened to our favorite songs and the birds creating music of the night. What a feeling! I became engrossed in the lie of the moment. I envisioned returning home to my gorgeous young husband waiting with our child. The vision came to a sudden end as I reached his home. The house was impressive. It sat alone on a hill by way of a winding road. It looked as if bought for a married couple, not a bachelor. Then I remembered how I left Danny lying in bed and never letting him complete what he wanted to tell me. It was my home, and now it was mine no more. I opened the gate and drove along the circular driveway, which came to a stop at his door. I stepped out and walked to unlock the doors. I stood still, then quietly walking through the home. No one appeared to be there. It was a beautiful Hollywood home that had been remodeled, and it once belonged to some big star. You could see it cost millions. I strolled up the stairs near an elevator where I thought the master bedroom was located. I wanted to surprise him and tell him how much I loved him. Then I heard voices. Maybe it was the maid. Maybe I'm hearing things because it started to rain as I drove up the path. I wanted to create any scene in my mind that I could live in. I strolled with all the confidence I could muster, opened the bedroom door, and then I slowly stepped inside. There, coming out of the shower, was my love. My heart shouted when I saw his body. The bed was tossed and sheets and pillows were everywhere. The bed appeared enormous, and then I stood in shock. He was naked, and there was someone in the bed hidden by sheets and pillows, and it was not me. It was surreal. My skin felt numb and clammy. Danny and I stood and stared at each other in silence. Danny picked up a towel, as if he was naked in front of a stranger. His eyes turned to me and then turned to the bed. Lying in his bed, my bed, was a woman about Danny's age, maybe 19, maybe 20. She had long blonde hair, a sexy long body with breast that was created for any occasion, and that occasion was to provide sex whenever and wherever desired. She was sure of herself. She did not act as if she was surprised, but she was not going anywhere, and she was not giving up any ground. I could see it all in her obstinate, conniving eyes. It was war, and Danny was the high ground, and she was at the top of the hill, and that hill was our bed. I was at a disadvantage. How am I going to win this battle? I asked myself. Should I give up and run? What am I to do? Do I come back to fight another day? Danny's face broke into a wide smile. He had once pursued me with all his being and amorous affections. There he stood with this smile of satisfaction. Danny was a man now, and I was the one pursuing him, or though he thought. He was correct, but I couldn't let him know, and I couldn't let the enemy in the bed know my weakness. I chose to stay a while to gauge my enemy's strength. Although, I felt as if I could run and never stop until I reached the Pacific Ocean, and then drown myself to end this comedy of errors. "I came to bring back your key and your ring," I said casually, with the authority of a woman of the world. I saw in his eyes that he did not want to hear those words. He wanted me to cry and beg his forgiveness. His face changed and the smirk transformed to a frown. I knew that frown, a little boy who could not get his way. I saw in one instance my Danny, the little boy who could not spar with me because he had more living to do. When I left Danny, he had learned how to live without me. Now he was ready to take me on. "You can put my keys on my table and do whatever you want with that ring, you earned it," he said coldly. "I'm busy." He turned his back to me and poured a glass of crystal for the cute little actress or model in his bed. I felt anger and jealousy, my eyes twitched and my head hurt. I felt a cold chill run through my soul, and I became weak in the knees. My instinct was to scream and attack Danny and beg him not to do this, but I wouldn't. However, I felt as if I would faint, but this was a war between the sexes and I had to regroup. I did not have time for fainting. I was determined not to lose. Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War, says that when you engage the enemy, always give him a way out, otherwise you will fight a death fight, and you will lose. I did not give Danny a way out when I left him in Las Vegas, had his baby, let another man adopt our baby, and then had the nerve to show up in his home and loving him more than ever. I had backed Danny against a wall with no way out. "It was nice knowing you," I countered, and walked to the antique table and lay the keys down, looking at him the whole time. I threw the 10-carat diamond ring at the young woman and said, "Here, get this sized for you." I peered into the eyes of the young woman, to let her know that she did not know whom she was fucking with. I then turned in my expensive designer dress, that fit like a glove, and started walking out the room, taking my warmth and Danny's desires with me. "Where are you going?" he said. "I'm leaving, isn't that what you want?" I sashayed down the first step, not waiting for an answer. I continued walking down the stairs, as Danny angrily walked beside me and shouted uncontrollable, "I hate you." "Yes, I can see just how much," I said, looking down at his erection that was obvious to me, Danny, and the cute naive bimbo standing on the stairs trying to figure out just what the hell was going on. She was smart enough not to get involved. "You left me, I didn't leave you. You found someone else, I didn't." "What the hell do you call that in your bed?" I asked. "She's nothing," he insisted. "I didn't want to get in the way of your career," I explained. "Well, as you can see, you did not get in the way of anything," he stated carelessly. "What did you want me to do, Sydney? I looked for you for over a year, and I find you with a man. And you gave that man my son," Danny said, looking distraught. We were now at the foot of the stairs, and no compromise in sight. There, looking on, was the cute little actress, and there I was, reaching and grabbing Danny's heart, not leaving any for anyone to claim but me. "Now you have nothing but your career and those shallow bitches who want your money and your body," I said, looking for a weakness. "You had my body and love, you have my child, and you could have had all of me, but that wasn't enough for you. You ripped my heart out. Well, you have destroyed me, so get the hell out." Danny weighed his options and decided that I was lost to him. He proceeded to initiate a brutal attack on me to save the loveless relationship, standing at the top of the stairs, which was worthless to him. "I hate you, you gave my son away. I hate you so much that I'll destroy you. The next time I see you will be in court. I want my son," he stated with icy ruthlessness. My mind was racing. What can I say or do? I have to say something, I thought. I turned and looked into those cool green eyes to find the secret of his heart. I could not see the man I love. All I saw was a cold, lifeless man who hid his love for me. "Well, if this is the last time I will see you." I moved closer to him, looked in his beautiful green eyes searching for warmth, and gave him a soft, hard kiss. I could feel with his body what his eyes would not reveal. He stood with his arms to his side, and I touched his face as I penetrated his closed lips with my tongue. I felt the fire from his body, a blaze that no one could extinguish. I felt his warm body and cold heart. I turned and walked away. I did not look back or hear footsteps crying for me to come back. I did not see whether I had won the skirmish. I trusted my ammunition, and I trusted myself. I jumped into the car and drove down the hill, and when I had driven far enough, I began to scream. I screamed into the night like a banshee for what seemed like hours. I had fucked my life up, and I could not get it straight. I was a runaway train, headed for a derailment. Chapter 7. Danny, Sydney, and Philip cross. Somehow, I reached the hotel, and Stephen sat waiting for every minute of juicy gossip. Some people live for gossip. They have to be fed each day, if not, they die. I was in no mood to feed Stephen's fantasies. "Girl, what happened? You look like shit. You have been crying." "Not you," Stephen said, meeting Sydney eye to eye. "Shut up, Stephen, shut the fuck up." I could hardly talk. "I know what you need, a night out." "I just had a night out. I just want to go to bed and never get up," I said, wishing I would just disappear. "I'm not talking about now," Stephen said, looking at me as if I was the town idiot. "We are going to a party tomorrow night, and you can get another crack at your lover man," Stephen stated, rubbing his hands together and smiling with excitement. "Everyone who is anyone will be at Philip Cross's Malibu home," Stephen said, as he appeared to jump for joy. "I don't have the strength to play this one out. I can't do it." "What do you mean you can't do it?" "Look, if you want Danny back, you have to get down and dirty. That is all a man understands, Sydney. Trust me. If you want to turn this around, you have to be positive, smile and act like nothing phases you. You are the same woman, that woman he lust after. You are beautiful, matured, and have style. If you lie down, you are done for. Don't give up, Sydney," Stephen said, laying out his plans. "What does style have to do with anything?" I thought. At this point, I would have consulted the devil to get Danny to come back to me. Stephen stood and walked around the room gesturing. "You have to look gorgeous, your hair has to look just right, and your makeup has to demonstrate the look of a seductress, think Cleopatra. This is war, and you can't take any prisoners," Stephen stated slyly, enjoying every minute of my pain, while trying to transform me into his Pygmalion. I can't believe I'm allowing Stephen to tell me what I need to do to get my man back. I have never had a problem before dealing with men, and I knew everything about Danny. That was until now. Now I don't know him at all. Was this my creation? I asked myself, knowing the answer. There was something different about Danny, something I could not touch or feel, a force within him, something I could no longer conquer. He had matured. He was no longer the boy I had been trifling with. I was finally meeting my match everywhere I turned, and I was afraid I would lose this battle. For the first time, I was not sure of myself. I had thrown away the person I desired the most. A person that loved me, and now I'm paying a price, because I didn't understand myself enough. I dressed the next night to go to a party where I knew no one but Stephen, and he would be too busy lining up dates for himself to keep me company. I picked out a 2-piece number that Stephen suggested and adored, and said that if he were a transvestite, he would undeniably wear that number. It was black with white flowers on a top, which fell off my shoulder with my tiny waist revealed. The skirt was long with a split up to my thigh that showed just enough to slay my dragon. I was hot and exuding sex with my stiletto heels. Stephen and I drove down Pacific Highway before turning into a long driveway. Cars were parked everywhere. Young women filed out to park our car and escort us into this outrageously expensive scenic home. This beautiful beach home stood amidst the Pacific Ocean. This is the backyard of the super rich and famous. The moon was faint, it was the first of the month, and there would be a full moon. The wolves would be out tonight, but I owned the night. Stephen strutted in his search for men. He soon discovered where they were hiding. I left Stephen and proceeded straight with my heart pounding. I walked up the stairs into the room, overlooking the beach. Mouths opened and eyes peered. Women who could not compete stepped aside. They gave way, and I knew why. I am a woman of the world, and I know how to get and keep a man, I thought, giving myself courage. Every man became a potential victim, and I was a threat to all women, young and old. The women saw the smile on my face, and they knew that I knew what to do to a man to make him want me, so they held on to their men with a tight grip. They saw a woman that could use and abuse a man if so desired. That night was magical. I had an invisible magnetic shield that attracted all men to me. It would be the best night of my life. I sashayed through one room, then another looking for Danny. The night before, Stephen had gotten the word that all the so-called stars would be sitting in an upstairs room, posturing with their women, admiring the ocean and each other. Letting everyone know that they had the right to be where they were, because they had money, the prettiest women on the planet, and they were the hottest stars in Hollywood. I continued walking until I reached the room that opened up to the Pacific Ocean. The sun was setting, and the burst of light caught my face as I turned and looked into Danny's eyes. He looked at me. His eyes grew large and he placed his drink on a table. I heard some men ask about me. I walked slowly looking around the beautiful designer room. It was top-heavy with expensive paintings and attractive people in the foreground. My heart was pounding from nervousness. I raised my head and pretended I didn't see Danny. I walked over to a well-known womanizer star who appeared to be alone, and I postured as I allowed him to look me up and down. I knew by the type of man he is, he could not turn down a chance to get lucky with a woman he felt could rock his world. I gave him a come-hither smile, and when I had encouraged him enough, I waited for him to come to me. I strutted slowly away from him, and he came running. Backing myself against a wall, encouraged him to make another move. He knew, and I knew there was no place for me to run. Philip came closer, and put his hand on the wall to prevent my exit. My name is Philip Cross, and this is my home. Do I know you? He stated in the most seductive low voice. My name is Sydney, do you want to know me? I want to know all women that look like you and talk like you. Where are you from? You're not from California. Are you telling me or asking? I said, trying to be difficult. Oh, I like your kind. What kind is that? I said softly. Difficult and a challenge, he stated. No, trust me, you can't handle me. I like the way you talk. I haven't had someone talk to me like that for some time. You're not into bondage, are you? I said, as I gave him a wicked smile. Maybe. You aren't afraid of me, are you? He asked, gazing at me with those heavenly blue eyes. I'm not afraid of any man, I said, lying. I was now afraid of Danny. I was afraid that he didn't want me anymore. Oh, he said, excited. As I engaged Philip in conversation, I saw Danny sweating and his face turning red through his tan, barely containing his anger. His face changed and his brow wrinkled, and that wonderful tan deepened with Philip's every word. I saw his raised eyebrow, and I knew he was pissed. He stood next to a lovely young woman holding him around his waist, and I could tell she was into him. I recognized the body language because I had seen it many times when we were together and in love. He stood there in those distressed designer jeans he loved to wear, and those expensive leather jackets that reminded him of his life in Scotland. He stared at me with a sinister look, as if to say, "Don't you do this. Don't go in that room with him." I could read his mind. I was intent on doing just the opposite. Danny tried to prove to me that he could live without me, and he had better mean it, because I was going to find out in a hurry. I did not have much time to waste. I had to get back to our son. Philip put his arm around my waist, and I read Danny's mind once again. He looked as if he would die, he turned colorless, he was a ghost. I was again ripping his heart out and laying it before him. I enjoyed it this time. Payback is a bitch, I thought. "Let's go into the room and talk, no one is going to miss you," Philip said, assuming that no one knew me at the party. "Someone might miss me," I warned. "I'll take my chances," he stated, arrogantly captivated by my eyes and body, while fixated on my breast and lips. I walked into the bedroom of a movie star that was more famous than Danny, and a great deal richer. We sat and talked, and just when I thought I had given Danny enough time to stew, I said, "Philip, I'm going to take a shower." Philip's mouth began to water like Pavlov's dog. He could not believe his luck. I took a quick shower. As I strutted out of the shower, with a towel loosely covering my body, you could play the scene again from last night, only I'm the one with a towel wrapped around me. Lying in his bed naked, fully confident that he had a great body, Philip waited for what he thought was going to be an exciting evening of sex. Maybe a little of everything, but surely whatever his heart desired. Then the door sailed open. "What the bloody hell are you doing?" Danny said, talking to me but looking at Philip. "I'm in my bedroom and what I'm doing is none of your fucking business, Danny," shouted Philip. Danny turned his head in my direction. "I'm busy, Danny. Call me tomorrow when you have time, but don't wait too long." I punctuated each word as if I were in a black and white Bette Davis movie, giving as good as I got, with a smile that would make the devil proud. "Do you know this fucking Brit, Sydney?" Philip said, looking up at me. "He's not British, he's Scottish," I said, laughing, putting my hand to my mouth and dropping my towel. Picking up the towel and peeping at Philip and then Danny, I said, "I told you there could be a problem." "There isn't going to be a problem if Danny gets his ass out of my room." "Piss off, I'm not leaving without Sydney," Danny stated angrily. "So this is the woman everyone is talking about. This is the woman that dumped the great Danny McLeod in Vegas. I thought you were gay," Philip said in an envious rage. Philip had become jealous of Danny because Danny was replacing him as the new action star. Danny had taken him down from his perch as the hottest star to date, the next big thing, and you could see the hostility between the two of them. I didn't make it any better. "You're not going to have my woman. Sydney, get your clothes on," Danny said, exerting his authority. "Your woman, you seem to have forgotten you have one woman too many," Philip stated as he began to leave the bed. "Yeah, Danny, go back to your little girl and leave the adults to do what adults do," I said as I flashed my sexy smile. A smile that said, "I could give Philip what you have been longing for." I shot a sexy gaze and then winked at Danny. Before I could say another word, Danny hit Philip. Philip didn't look like a man who had ever seen battle. Philip fell over the bed and tumbled to the floor. Danny walked around the bed and hit Philip again before he could get to his feet. Philip was just as astonished as I. Danny was a man who had to fight for everything he wanted in life, and what he fought for, he wasn't giving it up easily. I tried to help Philip get to his feet, but Danny reached and grabbed my wrist as I screamed, cursing him and him cursing me. Danny dragged me out of the room, down the stairs, and out of the house with nothing on but a towel, in front of every Hollywood personality in the world. Every news station on all continents would be televising this event, I thought. Pictures and videos would be in newspapers and on the internet from here to Rome. Twitter would be hot as they talk about how two famous movie stars fought over Sydney Benning. Others would ask, who the hell is Sydney Benning? Someone grabbed a camcorder. Everyone holding phones began filming as if it was a movie of the week. I knew I would lose my job at WOW. There I was, a leading columnist for Women of the World, and here I'm being dragged out of a celebrity party caveman style, in a towel. It wasn't a pretty picture. Danny shoved me into his car and drove. I pleaded with him to take me back to the hotel. I yelled at him until I was hoarse. He did not say a word as he drove silently through the hills. Danny took me to his home, the home that would have been mine if I hadn't been so stupid. Get out of the car, he demanded with a faraway look in his eyes. I'm not going anywhere, I protested. He walked away after taking the keys and left me in a towel in a freezing car in the driveway of his home. Eventually, I calmed myself and hurried out of the car. I walked into his home, and to a man I've wanted all my life. You could feel the tension and passion. Danny was calm now. He sat in a large soft brown leather chair near a fire, and then he stood. He had on only a towel wrapped around his waist. I saw a body that put me in a trance, his wide shoulders and hard chest and biceps that moved with his motion. I closed my eyes, and he could hear the hard breathing coming from my mouth. What are you trying to do to me? He asked as he moved close to me. I'm not doing anything. I hope he didn't realize that I set him up. Yes, you are, Sydney, I can feel it. I feel everything about you. When you're not here, I feel you. I still smell your scent you left on me in Las Vegas. That scent said that you love me. What went wrong? He moved closer, then closed his eyes, put his head to the side, and kissed my neck. Sydney's smell was a lullaby to Danny. It filled his life, it took his soul, and locked it away where only she had a key. I'm not going to let you hurt me any longer. I didn't want to hurt Danny. I did everything because I loved him, and wanted him to have a career and be famous. He couldn't accomplish that with me around, I thought. Why aren't you with Sean? His eyes searched my eyes and my body like a hungry animal. Remember, I came to bring you your keys and ring. I don't want that ring. I've been asking you why, and you still haven't said a word. When are you going to tell me the truth? I remembered a movie where one of the characters shouted, "You can't take the truth." Well, Danny couldn't take the truth. You were going to give Philip Cross what I wanted from you. You were going to give him what I've been longing for. I let him think what he wanted because he wasn't innocent. He tried to replace me. I couldn't blame him no matter how I tried, because I started all of this. I wanted him to continue talking, because I wanted to be reassured of his love for me. Danny's eyes opened wide. His eyes turned a shade of deep green. Then he tore the towel from my body and threw it to the floor. He peered at my naked body and my breast with his mouth opened. He grabbed my breast with one hand and with the other hand slid his finger throughout my body, while reaching an erection with each motion of his hand. He knelt to kiss my stomach, then my thighs. He took both hands and began feeling my body. My nipples became hard as he gently moved his hands over them. I went to my knees. I was under his control. He crawled between my legs and began to explore places on my body he had never ventured. He turned my body where I was face down on the floor, and he kissed me from my shoulders, back, buttocks, on and on, giving me unbelievable arousal as he controlled me with his kisses. He then entered me, and repeatedly made love to me until he was satisfied that he was the one, and that no one could ever take me away from him again. He never wanted to leave me, and I didn't want him to go. We wanted to be forever in each other's arms, making love, until there was nothing left inside of us for anyone. I began trying to explain what had happened to me, and why I ran away from him. I tried to start at the beginning, but at that instant the phone rang. I made him answer the telephone. "Yay, Danny here." "Danny, this is Max. Are you doing anything important?" "Well, you have to catch a flight out tonight. You need to be in England in 2 days to audition for a part that will assure you millions. You don't have to work again for a while if you don't want." "No, I can't leave now." "Danny, you know what it means, you have to go," I whispered, knowing that I was the only person who could stop him. "Max, I'll call you back." He dropped the phone. "I'm not going to take that flight, Sydney." "Danny, you have to." "Only if you meet me or stay here. I don't want to lose you again." "I can't stay here." "What about Sean?" "Go get Sean." "Sydney, I need you more than ever. You have to be with me otherwise." "I'm lost." There was a sense of profound need in his every word, but I thought he would be okay, at least until I could straighten out this mess. I have wasted so much of my life not being with Danny. Just when we need more time, it appears we never have enough. I wouldn't tell Danny that I could not take Sean out of Texas without Robert's permission, because Danny would have killed Robert and me. Danny was too busy trying to make money to have a life he had dreamed of when he was a youth in Scotland, a woman that he loved and children. He was too busy to see what had transpired all around him. "I'll bring him back," I convinced Danny. I didn't know how much more of this I could stand, or how much Danny would take from me. I had entangled his soul in mine. The lies began to get more intricate, and I watched as I set the foundation that breeds distrust and hate. When did the deceit begin, and when was it going to end? Danny flew to England with my assurance that I would bring Sean to LA. If life was easy and not complicated, then that would have been a cinch. Go to Robert, tell him that I was leaving him to be with Sean's father. Oh, I forgot he is Sean's father, legally. I flew into Houston, and Stephen flew to New York. I remember the flight attendant saying, "How if there is trouble on or with the airplane, we could do 1, 2, 3. I remember wishing the plane would never land. I was hoping for a crash, but that would be unfair to my baby, and Robert would never get the chance to call me every whore he could think of, and Danny, who would never get the chance to walk away from me and never see me again. I even forgot about the passengers with my selfish wish, but who knows, maybe I wasn't alone. Life is like that. Just when you think you are the only one feeling the way you do, miserable, you find out it's a human condition, and everyone gets their chance to wish they were dead. During my stay in Los Angeles, I learned that Stephen was having problems with his boyfriend. Waiting for my plane, I heard that Stephen is a suspect in a murder. How ridiculous, I thought. The next thought was, Stephen wouldn't hurt a fly. I promised that I would return to Danny's home with Sean when he returned from England. I didn't know what to do with Robert in Texas. So I bypassed Texas and rushed to New York to help Stephen.